Okay.
Afternoon, everybody, and welcome to China Book's inaugural live Facebook Q&A. If you have any questions, please post them into the comments box below. We will try and answer as many as we can. If we do miss your question, please repost. We're chatting here today with Jenny Allison. This afternoon, Jenny is author of The Fabulous Golden Month, New Zealand acupuncturist, lecturer and teacher, educator. Welcome, Jenny.
Thank you for inviting me. And it's lovely to be in Melbourne.
Jenny, maybe we could start by asking maybe to tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, well, I trained in England, Australia, Sydney and China. I went back to train with Dr. Tong in England, and I think I started to realise as soon as I had children that the insights of the Chinese doing the months always were very profound, and it was something that really needed to be reinforced in our modern culture.
Mm-hmm.
It's such an important transition, and when I started to talk to women from different cultures everywhere, it was quite amazing how much in common they all had.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, there was so much in common that there really had to be something that needed investigating, and the insights of Chinese medicine as an energetic medicine explained so many of the things that were described as folklore and are now being rejected as folklore. But then if we put our Chinese medicine lens on, we can see the wisdom of it.
Okay.
So I think we're in a unique position.
Fantastic. Maybe I'll ask another question. How do women and their babies benefit from good postnatal care?
Okay, so first, it's a really huge life transition. If it's managed well, in Vietnam they say a mother is never more beautiful than after she's given birth, if her postpartum is managed well. So what it means, of course, is that she's in a relaxed state. She is breastfeeding well. The bonding takes place with her baby in a relaxed, quiet environment. And also there's something that we probably don't even think about, but which Asian medicine particularly emphasises, and that's that there is an opportunity to heal old illness while you're in this very strong transition. And Dr. Tong called it a cusp of change, which means that going from the pregnancy into the postpartum state, where the chi and blood are full and then the chi and blood are empty, there's this transition state that the anthropologists would call a life crisis. And at this moment you've got this tremendous potential. It's a challenge and an opportunity to either move your health in a positive direction or neglect it, in which case the consequences would be very negative. So it's a vital transition, and this is why I felt that I needed to write the book.
Wonderful.
So mothers would really have an invitation to see its importance.
A very big question. What are the main elements of good care?
Okay, well, I've gone into detail in the book on that, but just very briefly, they are rest. It's vital, obviously, to replenish kidneys and qing. A very specialised diet, which we'll talk about in a minute. Daily massage to promote good circulation. And most important of all, in terms of bringing everything together, is supporting a mother. And I think it's very important that the support, in fact the research shows that the support must be welcome and it must be empowering support. So especially in a modern culture, when women within their traditions, if they're going to go along with their grandmothers and mothers, they need to, because they've had other choices, they need to be able to see the reasoning behind what their grandmothers and mothers are telling them. So
of course, that's obvious. They have to be able to see the reasoning behind.
Yeah. So they mustn't feel constrained.
You mentioned food, so maybe I could ask, what do you suggest? What's the best food to nourish a mother after birth?
There's several requirements after birth. We've got to replenish the qi in the blood, and blood's needed for lactation, and qi is also needed for lactation. Replenishing the blood requires nutrient-dense food, and replenishing the qi, or strengthening the qi, requires good carbohydrates.
Mm-hmm.
And that's terribly important, because the tendency now is for women to cut down carbs, decide that then carbs aren't good, cut them down, but carbs generate qi.
Yeah.
So it's really important that they have carbohydrates that don't spike blood sugars, so no refined carbohydrates, but complex carbohydrates,
Mm-hmm.
and plenty of them.
Mm.
The other really important thing is that the meals are served regularly, that they're warm. Also, the mother's depleted, she's in a state of deficiency, therefore she needs warmth to give her energy, and also to protect her against cold. Because while her qi is deficient, her wei qi also is deficient, and therefore pores can open easily and she can catch cold easily.
Mm. Thank you. What is the... this is a question that's been sent in. Can I ask, what is the one piece of advice that you can give to any mother after birth? Only one piece of advice?
Only one. That's a really good question. I think it's to arrange to be treated as a queen, and everything comes into that. So, if you're treated like a queen, you receive the type of care you want. For example, a Samoan mother said to me, I had my hair brushed every day for me. That's what I wanted. I was treated like a queen. I had my hair brushed. And my parents said, what would you like to eat? So that it wasn't a totally strict diet. It's what I knew I wanted, as well as what I knew was good for me. I think that, there's many different components of being a queen, but probably the thing that's very, very important is the feeling of being honoured, and the sense that when your status is raised, this is quite common research that supports this, if your status is raised, your cortisol goes down, your oxytocin goes up, and it's the oxytocin-rich environment that we want, because that it's very, very important in terms of creating new neural pathways and dissolving old trauma. So, treated like a queen.
Fabulous. This is another question from Ashley Gordon. What postpartum care would you recommend for traumatic births?
Of course, it depends on how traumatic, and what physical and psychological condition the woman is in. But I think probably the two most important things would be make sure that in your care you don't destabilise the mother in any way, that the energy is brought into the centre, so her energy will be scattered with shock. It needs to be brought into the centre. All of the components of good postpartum care are to be done in spades. Like, very important for her that she is quiet, that she feels honoured, that she feels acknowledged, even if she feels herself that she's been a failure for having a cesarean when she planned something else, that she still feels that her status is raised. And I think this goes a long way to helping.
And just, I suppose it's a bit of a follow-up question on that one about traumatic births. What if it's old trauma, not trauma connected with the birth itself?
Yeah, that's important. At this point, after the birth, when the mother is sometimes described as being in a disoriented state, or some cultures say she's walking between the worlds. Malian culture, they say the tube is open, so she's emotionally vulnerable. It's very, very important not to go back into old trauma. This is not the moment to try and address old trauma. It's the moment just to keep in the present, very much in the present, and safe. A feeling of safety.
Okay.
However she is to achieve her feeling of safety, she'll communicate to you, and that's all what she gets.
Yeah. And of course, feeling of safety is very individual.
Yeah.
We all respond differently. Yeah. We all feel that differently.
Some people may say, they may want their mother to say, go to bed, stay there.
Yeah.
Other people may not want that at all.
Yes. Yeah. Can I ask, in your experience, how early would you start any postpartum treatments?
Well, what I've been taught is generally you will allow purgation for 3 days and then 30 days of tonification. But in practice, I think it really has to be led by the mother.
Mm-hmm.
If she doesn't want to have any interference in the first 3 days and everything's going well, there's no reason to interfere or intervene in any way.
Mm-hmm.
There's a general idea that 5 to 7 or 7 to 9 days of a good tonic is very beneficial, and that kind of brings us into the question of eating your placenta.
Yes.
Yes, that can be tremendously beneficial, particularly for mood, and we've got people in this studio who are experienced at that. And
hi guys, it's Nuette here. So I actually had placenta encapsulation. I found actually it to be really beneficial. Initially I thought it would be more for lactation, but honestly the best thing I found it for is my moods. My moods improved immensely when I took it. So I had them encapsulated, and then I made my own tincture with it as well. So whenever I'm feeling a little bit down, that's advice that's been given to me. I can pop some, like a couple of drops underneath my tongue, but it seems to have helped so much more. I think you had some research to show as well.
There hasn't been a lot of research on it, but Selander from America, they interviewed women who had eaten their own placenta, and in general the motivation was to improve mood, and in general that women were satisfied. It's said to improve lactation, but there was only 15% that said that it improved lactation, but yeah, people felt generally that their mood was improved.
And that is very important.
Very important. And of course we know that it's the ultimate gene tonic.
That's right.
It tonifies the chi, the blood, the yin, the yang.
Especially with all that stress after, and all that pressure as well. I think you mentioned before as well. Well, for myself, I had all this expectation. Everyone was treating me like a queen, but at the same time, I had all these personal pressures, and it's Jenny's book is fantastic for that. Sorry, guys, you can't see me, but she really talks about how you have to change your mindset in a way. This is a time that you need to replenish yourself, and not think that you're the super mum, like you can do everything. That will come later, maybe.
Yeah, and I think that point is really important in terms of being treated like a queen, because it's your internal dialogue with yourself that often stops that, and it's your own expectation. And the vast majority of mothers that I spoke to who were involved in some part of some tradition from their country felt this incredible entitlement. It was so refreshing to see, because it wasn't just that we asked for it, we were entitled to have it. There's a culture, there's a woman, Pipparata, who did a study in the Amazon, and the women in the Amazon and the Riverina people, the family around them were also so committed to her postpartum that if the husband didn't find the chickens for her chicken soup, for her gin tonic and to support her chi and blood, then he was actually ridiculed as not being a good enough husband. And everyone around her was, yes, this is your moment. And if she didn't have that, then she was very, very disillusioned and disappointed. And I think that happens in hospitals here with immigrant mothers who say, all the attention went on the baby, none went on me. In my culture, the mother is equally regarded. We place equal importance to the mother and the baby. So it is, as you say, a mind shift that has to happen.
Can I ask you a question? This is from Fee. Fee's asked, what is the most frequent advice you give to women and their families in the golden month period? And what is the most overlooked area of healthcare for new mothers in this time as well? Two big questions.
Two big questions. Well, I think what's overlooked is the length of rest. Because mothers often do rest for a week, but Western medical research, as well as our Chinese medicine wisdom, shows that it does take 6 weeks to recover physically and to make that transition on all levels. So many people in New Zealand organise for their friends who become mothers to cook food for them, to be there for them for maybe 10 days. And that's wonderful because it shows a willingness to help, but it's not enough.
Yeah.
It needs to be 6 weeks or a month with a transition period of 10 days. So that's the bit overlooked. And the bit to say to the family is really that yes, we can lobby governments to give better paid parental leave. Many countries have good paid parental leave, especially the Scandinavian ones. But while we don't have that, the family culture is really important. So, and not only, well, you're modelling for other children how the new mother will be, and so that then the daughter that grows up will see that within this family culture there's a culture of honouring this moment. So it's a matter of educating the whole family and bringing in not just the nuclear family, but friends, because we can't always have extended family, and extended family if they're willing. Community. Yeah.
Wonderful. We're getting lots of questions coming in now, Jenny, so we'll get to as many as we can, so apologies if we can't get to everybody. Sarah has asked, Sarah said, "Hi Jenny, do you have any advice, care strategies for vegan mums during their golden month?"
Yes, because chicken soup is the ubiquitous food, but for vegans to make your food, well, as a vegan you probably know more than I do about it, but to make the food more nutrient dense, it's very important to make food that will produce good enzymes in the body, in the stomach. So that means fermented food, sprouted food, which is already potentiated. And there's a seaweed soup, which is basically a vegan seaweed soup that's traditionally made in Korea after the mother gives birth, and which is very rich in minerals and a lot of other short-chain fatty acids and things that you can get without meat. So there's lots you can do with it.
Yes. And maybe I could read out one from Jan in Brunswick. Hello, Jan. When is it okay for a mother to leave home for treatments such as acupuncture and massage?
Yes, that's a great question. In New Zealand, because you're probably not having to drive more than half an hour to get to a mother who's given birth, it's feasible to visit. And we have to walk the talk, obviously. So I write a book saying that women have to rest. I've got to go visit them. But I realise that in somewhere like Melbourne, that's much more difficult. So I guess it's just a matter of communicating by phone or
some acupuncturists will come to you as well. So.
Yeah,
Yes,
if you're prepared to do a house call as an
Yeah,
acupuncturist, I think that is wonderful. And I know it does mean more money for the patient, but honestly, people who realise the importance of this time will prioritise that. And again, if you're emphasising diet, a lot can be done with diet, with good nutrition after childbirth. So you've got these other things. You've got several strings to your bow.
I think that conversation you had on placenta encapsulation has started a little bit of a discussion. So Fee has asked, I've read research debating the benefits of ingesting the placenta in the postpartum period. This is more Western physiology. Apologies, but I thought it's important to investigate. The article spoke on how the hormones in the placenta may disrupt milk production because they suppress prolactin. Sorry about my pronunciation. What are your thoughts on this?
Yes, I've heard of that research, and there's also other research saying that the hormones in the placenta are really insufficient, the estrogen and the progesterone are insufficient really to actually have a big effect. So there's, from a Western point of view, there are sort of two points of view on that.
Yeah.
Some people don't react well to placenta, and sometimes it's quite mysterious. It may be that the woman's been exposed to medications in pregnancy that have rendered the placenta more toxic than it should be, or maybe that she's extremely yin deficient after having several children. There's one case I know of a woman who benefited immensely on her first pregnancy and then had a very bad reaction on her second. But she wasn't my patient. I don't know why that happened. So yes, I think it's important to bear these things in mind. But there's also some quite rampant criticisms which say placenta is something that you throw away. It's toxic. It's diseased, and I think that's getting quite emotional about something which is also seen in many cultures. Although not everyone eats the placenta, it's seen as something that's sacred and a source of vitality. So these views need to be balanced and played by ear.
Okay. Now, Jenny, you're in China Books, and it would be remiss of me if I didn't bring up a question about books. Can I ask about your favourite books? Any recommendations for practitioners or recommendations for your clients apart from Golden Month?
Apart from Golden Month, what's currently in print, I think that if anyone's aware of Peter Deadman's book, Live Long, Live Well, there's a very well researched small chapter on postpartum in there, which I think is very valuable. Daoshang Ni has written a book called Sitting Moon, that China book stock. And I know there's a book coming up with that China Books will stock, which is specifically about nourishment in the postpartum from a Chinese perspective. And I haven't got the title
first 40 days.
It's called The First 40 Days. So there's not a lot of literature actually. The other thing to do is to go out and talk to women in the community from different cultures, because they have such rich traditions and we can learn so much from them. And I found that most women are delighted to talk about it. My mother-in-law, who's from West Africa, she pointed her finger and she said, "You tell those women in New Zealand and Australia that they need to do the 40 days. They listen," she said, "it's good. If they don't, you've done your duty."
Fabulous.
So I think that's also a great source of information, is to talk with women.
Yeah. Okay, well, I might come around and say thank you very much, Jenny, and thank you very much, Jenny, and thank you for everybody who's been watching and will watch in the future. I'm not going to let you go without saying Golden Months is a fabulous book. Deborah Betts put me onto this book a long time ago and said this is the one, and I know there's hardly anything else out there like it. Well, maybe we'll just finish off with a bit of a reading from Jenny. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you. This is one of my favourite quotes. It's a quote from a woman who's in Māori is called a kuia, which is a respected elder, a very experienced woman who is very experienced in the Māori traditions of the postpartum. And this is what she says. "Giving birth is a wonderful gift, but it hurts both the body and the heart. The job of the nannies," which is the Māori term for the grandmothers and the elders, is to help bring the mother back into consciousness so that she can be a source of nourishment to her child.